Welcome students. So we shall continue from where we had stopped. Here you can see I have written FeO plus carbon, which gives Fe plus CO. Since we were studying high temperature conditions, at high temperature carbon monoxide cannot directly act as reducing agent. So in the book they have mentioned that here carbon monoxide reacts to form Fe giving carbon dioxide, which is right. Okay, please make a correction here. Now briefly let me tell you about the extraction of iron. So what are we doing? We take a mixture of ore, limestone and coke. It is fed into the blast furnace, and from the bottom blast of air and oxygen is passed, and at different zones different reactions are carried out. So at low temperature, we have seen at low temperature, that is from 500 to 800 Kelvin, this particular ore Fe2O3 gets converted into Fe3O4. Otherwise a part of it can be converted into FeO also with the liberation of carbon dioxide. And then at a higher temperature, we have seen that calcium carbonate decomposes into calcium oxide. Then that calcium oxide reacts with silica to form calcium silicate, which is a slag that is formed in the process of extraction of iron. So which will be the molten slag here? It will be calcium silicate that is formed. And then carbon combines with oxygen to form carbon dioxide. So coke, there it acts as reducing agent. It removes the oxygen part from it. And then the remaining FeO further reacts with carbon monoxide to form pig iron with the liberation of carbon dioxide. Till here we need to explain for the extraction of iron, about reaction I mean to say. So you can see this diagram. Hope it is clear. The exhaust gases like carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide will be passed through this outlet here. And here you can see molten slag. Molten slag means which one? Calcium silicate. It will be collected in a separate container which will be present above the molten iron. Iron comes and gets collected in below the slag part, slag zone, and here this molten iron has a different outlet where it is collected as pig iron. Now here one more thing, molten slag also prevents the oxidation of iron, because see, iron earlier it was Fe2O3, right? From that we separated iron. Now that molten iron has been collected here. So this slag which is formed, calcium silicate, forms a layer here. So it prevents this iron from reacting with the oxygen which will be present. That is also there. So till here you have understood. Now that pig iron which we have got, pig iron will contain 4% of carbon as impurity. Now what are the impurities present? It contains 4% of carbon as impurity. Along with that it contains some amount of phosphor, silicon, sulfur and manganese also as impurity. So these will be the impurities in pig iron. So what will be done? There is 4% of carbon present. We don't want that. We want iron in its pure form. So what we do is, pig iron is oxidized. It is oxidized. When it is oxidized, what happens? The carbon which is present gets oxidized and it escapes. Say if carbon reacts with oxygen, it forms carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide and it will escape. Then you get a form of iron which is called as cast iron. CaSt, cast iron. Now this cast iron contains 3% of carbon as impurity. It contains 3% of carbon as impurity and other impurities are removed. Now still we have 3%, 1% has been oxidized and it has escaped. We have still 3% remaining, isn't it? So what will be done is, it will be taken, this particular cast iron is taken in hematite lined, hematite ore of iron, hematite lined furnace. Hematite lined furnace. So what we do, that cast iron which we get, we are taking in a furnace which is lined with hematite. Hematite is Fe2O3. Now here what happens, this hematite reacts with this carbon and gives out iron. How? Let me write the reaction here. So here what happens? This particular hematite reacts with carbon, which gives out iron and carbon monoxide. Now here 2 Fe, 2 iron, 2 iron, here 3 and here 3. Clear? So here what is formed? You get the iron now again. Now this iron which we have got, what we have done, cast iron we had, we treated it, we had taken it in a hematite lined furnace and we heated it. Now what iron we have got, it is called as wrought iron. Wrought iron, W-R-O-U-G-H-T, wrought iron. You have seen Eiffel Tower? Eiffel Tower. This Eiffel Tower was constructed using this form of iron. So here ends the extraction of iron. And this wrought iron which you get is having 0.01% of carbon. Very minute quantity, that's negligible amount of carbon it will have. So this is the extraction of iron. Have a note of it, and the chemical reactions, please make corrections wherever required, balance the equations really well, and then remember these steps. We'll move on to the next application of Ellingham diagram, which is extraction of copper. Next is extraction of copper, which they have given a brief explanation of how this copper has been extracted. Extraction of copper. So now what will be done? The copper ore has to be taken initially. What usually will be done? You will just explain. Ore of copper is taken. Ore is taken, either copper glands, or there are different ores of copper which you have studied, isn't it? It can be oxide ore, it can be carbonate ore, or it can be sulfide ore also. The ore of it is taken and it is subjected to concentration. That means it is concentrated. How it is concentrated? If it is a sulfide ore, it is roasted. So either by roasting or calcination. Okay, after concentration, I mean to say, it is concentrated and then it is subjected to roasting or calcination. If it is a sulfide ore, we subject it to roasting. You know how it is converted, isn't it? Cu2S reacts with oxygen to give Cu2O plus SO2. Otherwise, calcination. If it is carbonate ore or some volatile impurities are present, then we subject it to calcination. Now next, what will be done? After that, we treat it with some reducing agent. So we shall see, if sulfide ore of copper is taken, then what will be the reaction? 2S plus O2 gives Cu2O plus SO2. This is roasting method, isn't it? 2, 3, 2, 2. Remember this way. It's easy. Now, this first step after concentration is subjected to roasting or calcination. Next, what is done? This oxide ore will be reduced. How it is reduced? Oxide ore is treated with, now which will be the reducing agent? You have remember in the Ellingham diagram, if you observe, copper line lies above all the other slopes. Most of the slopes it lies above it. So carbon can be easily used as reducing agent. So coke can be used as reducing agent. So we use coke. Now what will be formed? We get copper along with the formation of carbon monoxide. Try balancing it. 2. Clear? So this is how we get copper extracted. So usually this is a brief explanation of the step. So usually what will be done is, first copper matte, which is there, it is not actually separately present as Cu2s, isn't it? I have told you it will be present as Cu2s along with FeS. What do we call this as? We call this as copper matte. So how do you explain? Copper matte is treated or is taken in silica lined reverberatory furnace. I have told you why we use reverberatory furnace. Even for roasting methods also it is used. Why we have taken silica lined? So what happens in the furnace? In the furnace you will see lining of silica. Why do we want lining of silica? Because we have FeS, which is the impurity. I have told you how to remove it. So FeS also will react with oxygen and form FeO, which separates as FeSiO3. So again, silica lined reverberatory furnace and the following reaction takes place. Then you can write these reactions. Are you getting the point? You'll explain from here, write these equations, mention these points also. Now we will see how FeS converts. We know how Cu2s reacts. Cu2s reacts with oxygen, form copper oxide, then it reacts with reducing agent coke to form copper, which we get. And here I'll tell you what this copper is called as also. Now here FeS, what happens? FeS reacts with oxygen, roasting process. SO2 escapes with the formation of FeO. Further, this FeO reacts with that silica lined vessel, silica, to form iron silicate. What is the name? Iron silicate, which is nothing but slag. Which is the slag formed in the extraction of in the extraction of copper. Iron silicate. In the extraction of iron, it is calcium silicate. So hope this is clear till here. Please have a look at it. And now this copper, I have told you we get copper here, isn't it? There is one more possibility, one more reaction here. I'll write it above. One more possibility is some part of copper glans may not be converted into copper oxide. So that copper glans will react with cuprous oxide that is formed to liberate sulfur dioxide with the formation of copper. So here sulfur dioxide, 2 plus 2, 4 plus 2, 6. So I have written 6 here. 1 sulfur, 2 oxygen, 2 oxygen. And this copper which we get, this copper, here the copper which we get, it is also called as blister copper. Blister copper or blistered copper, they call it as. Okay. Otherwise, it's also called as copper splitter also. There's one more name, copper splitter, they call it as. Okay, we'll see. This is blister copper. Why is it called as blister copper? Is because, you know what is blister? If there is any say burnt wounds or so, if there is any burns on the skin, after a day you will see a blister over that. Yeah, same way, this particular copper, it will have a kind of blisters on its surface. That blisters, why it is formed is because when this sulfur dioxide is liberated, it just pushes off the metal substance and then it has to escape, isn't it? During that, the blisters will be formed, and that is why it is called blistered copper also. This is about extraction of copper. We'll see the next application. Next application is okay, remember this extraction is extraction of copper from copper 1 oxide. What we have studied now is from copper 1 oxide. Please have a note of it. Okay, now we shall study extraction of zinc from zinc oxide. So here directly they have given you the extraction of zinc from zinc oxide. A brief one is given here. A brief explanation is given in this part. Again you can see, again in this you can see that when you see the graph, zinc oxide lies above that of carbon, and because of which carbon can act as, or coke can act as, good reducing agent, or it can be chosen as a reducing agent for the reduction of zinc oxide. So what happens, first ore of zinc is taken. If suppose you take sulfide ore, say for example you take zinc sulfide, then it is subjected to roasting, where you know this particular one, no? ZnS gets converted into ZnO plus with the liberation of sulfur dioxide. You know this. So in the textbook they have just given from this part, so I'll explain from this. This zinc oxide will be treated with some amount of clay and coke. So zinc oxide will be mixed up with clay and coke, that is carbon, and it is formed, a briquette is formed. Briquette means some small pieces of how do you say, a cylindrical shaped pieces, okay, that is called as briquettes. Briquettes of zinc oxide with clay and coke is prepared, and it is heated, and it is heated to about a high temperature of 1673 Kelvin. Compared to copper, a slightly high temperature will be used for in the case of zinc oxide or zinc. Now here what happens, this zinc, carbon monoxide escapes, leaving behind zinc. This is extraction of zinc from zinc oxide. Now this will be subjected to, the zinc which is obtained will be distilled off. It will be subjected to distillation. It is distilled off, and then it is collected by rapid chilling. Collected by rapid chilling. Chilling, you know, by cooling it, freezing it. By rapid chilling. Rapid means fast. Rapid chilling, it is collected. So what are we doing here? Zinc oxide. First, any ore which is taken, if it is a sulfide ore, we subject it to roasting and convert it into zinc oxide. After that, zinc oxide is taken, it is mixed with clay and coke to form briquettes, and then it is heated at high temperature of 1673 Kelvin, where we get zinc with the evolution of carbon monoxide. And this zinc is first subjected to distillation. It is distilled off. Distillation, you know, the process of evaporating and then collecting, that condensing that particular one, collected by rapid chilling. So this is about zinc oxide. Have a note of it. We'll move on to the next principle. So all these concepts, whichever we had studied, these were all the applications of Ellingham diagram. Even zinc, extraction of zinc is also application of Ellingham diagram. Now let us see one more principle, since we had studied thermodynamic principle. Now the principle is called electrochemical principles of metallurgy. So you haven't studied about electrochemistry. We will have a video of electrochemistry as soon as possible. So in that we have electrochemical principles. You have studied a basic concept of it in redox reactions previous year. So we shall see. Here we have an expression for electrochemical principle, that is again delta G naught value is considered. Here the molten salts are subjected to electrolysis. Electrolysis, you know, we use two electrodes, a positive electrode and a negative electrode, and we take an electrolyte. That is, the electrodes are dipped in a solution. When electric field is passed, the opposite charges or opposite ions pass towards the oppositely charged electrodes. That is electrolysis. Molten salts are subjected to electrolysis, and the basic of this, or the basic idea, is that delta G naught must be negative again. Here is an expression minus n E naught F. Delta G naught is equal to minus n E naught F. What is delta G naught? Standard Gibbs free energy change. N number of electrons. E naught standard electrode potential. Electrode potential. F Faraday's constant. Faraday's constant. So this particular expression we see. Now here when I am speaking about electrochemical principle, it means we are considering the values of E naught. E naught refers to what? Electrode potential. So we will be checking out whether electrode potential is high or low. We have a series, you remember, electrochemical series, from which we get to know E naught values for different substances. So we will be checking, we want delta G naught to be negative. If delta G naught is negative, that means the reduction is feasible, or the reaction is feasible, right? So what is the condition? If this has to be negative, then we have to see E naught value. If E naught value is also negative, large negative, then what happens? If it is large negative, then it becomes minus into minus, it may become plus also, right? If it has almost same values. Otherwise you may get a negative value. So we need to check out where this E naught value makes delta G naught negative. In such conditions we say that this particular principle can be applied using electrode potential also. If suppose if the metal is highly reactive, remember this condition, if the metal is highly reactive during the process of electrolysis, it gets into the solution, whereas if the metal is less reactive, or the less reactive metal which will be present will get out of the solution. I'll give you an example and tell you how will get out of the solution. Remember this. Okay, so basically to make it simpler, it's nothing. Delta G naught is equal to minus Ne naught F is the reaction equation which we consider under electrochemical principles of metallurgy. So we consider E naught values for the substance and check out whether delta G comes to be negative or not. If it comes to be negative, then the reaction can be carried out. It's well and good. And during electrolysis, the highly reactive metal will get into the solution. That means if you have taken two electrodes and you have taken suitable electrolyte, now if it is highly reactive, it comes into the solution. If it is less reactive, then it gets out of the solution when it goes and gets deposited. It goes out of the solution. We'll see with an example. One example for this. Say we have taken a solution of copper solution we have taken. We have an electrode also taken. Iron is the electrode taken. Now what happens here during electrolysis? On electrolysis, which is highly reactive, from the electrochemical series we know copper is less reactive and iron is highly reactive. So see, copper is less reactive. So which condition plays on it? It is that it should get out of the solution. But now the solution of copper we have taken, Cu2 plus aqueous means solution. It is present in the solution. So it gets out of the solution means copper comes out of the solution, and iron is highly reactive. Highly reactive means it gets into the solution. So iron gets into the solution. It gets oxidized. AQ means it is getting into the solution. Are you getting the point? So this is the basic principle of metallurgy, which follows electrochemical principle. Alright, which follows electrolysis.